Alright, so I promised you guys I would talk about Amanda Waller from the Suicide Squad. As you know, she's a government agent and she is the ultimate head of this Suicide Squad. It was her idea to form Task Force X. She got it commissioned by Washington. And the purpose that she laid out before Washington was to have this task force deal with certain special ops missions which special forces of the army or military would find too risky to undertake on their own, as well as she is responsible for looking at this particular task force as a way to deal with a metahuman threat, now that metahumans are known to exist among humanity. As a result of this, Amanda Waller gets this Task Force X commissioned by the Washington military heads and chiefs of staff, and coincidentally, as she's able to display one such metahuman's ability and how this could really be beneficial to the United States of America. It so happens, though, that an event happens in Midway City where it is under metahuman threat. So Washington commissions Task Force X into existence, now the newly formed commissioned Task Force X under Amanda Waller, to deal with this threat. However, Amanda Waller specifically gives instructions to Task Force X to retrieve HTV-1, which is the only person that is not destroyable and the only person that they must recon to safety. Now, this is interesting because Washington commissions Task Force X in operation to deal with this metahuman threat, but Amanda Waller gives a different kind of instruction. She instructs Task Force X to recon HTV-1. Why is Amanda Waller's instructions different to Washington's instructions? And now I'm going to build a case why Amanda Waller is the main villain of this movie. Why didn't Amanda Waller send Task Force X to deal with the metahuman threat? Well, first of all, Amanda Waller went with her ace in her group of cards, which was Enchantress. But Enchantress was trapped in June Moon. So she deployed her ace card in her deck to deal with this metahuman threat. What better thing to do than to use a metahuman to deal with a metahuman threat? Unknown to her that the metahuman threat was actually Enchantress's brother. And Enchantress was being behind it all the time. So that when Enchantress went rogue and disappeared from her presence, Amanda Waller was supposed to vacate Midway City. She was supposed to leave via some transit hubs. There was buses and trucks to leave, but she did not leave. So here are two things you need to understand. One, Amanda Waller's instructions are at variance to Washington's instructions to Task Force X. Two, Amanda Waller does bring her ace of clubs to deal with or ace of spades if you want, to deal with the metahuman threat. It goes rogue itself and seems to be actually an alliance with the metahuman threat. Amanda Waller does not choose to leave Ground Zero. She stays. Think about these things now, folks, because I'm going to reveal to you why she is the main villain of this film and that she has ulterior motives behind what she's doing. All in the interest of the United States of America, but nonetheless, she is villainous in her motives, as you will find out very shortly. Now, there are a couple other things I've learned about Amanda Waller. She uses leverage. She uses her enemy's weakness to control them. This is what she is very good at doing. She controlled Colonel Rick Flag by threatening him with putting June Moon, who was the holder of Enchantress, into a comatose state if he's not around. And that kept Colonel Rick Flag in check. Now, Amanda Waller, therefore, asked Task Force X to recon HTV-1. And HTV-1 ends up being Amanda Waller herself. Why would Amanda Waller want Task Force X to retrieve her from ground zero instead of dealing with the metahuman threat to start with? And she had the ability to vacate ground zero. Now, this is the question that a lot of people didn't understand in the movie, but I understood. And it's very simple. Amanda Waller wanted to see Task Force X in motion. People talk about how Task Force X did not get a pre-run before they got the final run. Most people didn't understand that Amanda Waller did test out Task Force X, and they succeeded with flying colors in reconning her in the presence of a metahuman threat. But here's the catcher. Here's the thing that's really going to ruffle a lot of people's feathers. It's going to really shock a lot of people. Amanda Waller didn't stay in ground zero only for that reason alone, because a villain, these master villains, they usually have more than one reason why they do what they do. Like Lex Luthor, Amanda Waller also has another reason. She didn't verbalize it, but the other reason was to see the capacity and the extent to which Enchantress could operate. She was studying Enchantress and her brother as they conducted activities with anyone else who was in ground zero. She was able to study her, and you heard her talking to Colonel Rick Flag, saying she has the ability to convert a house mom and a grandma into fighting machines. She was very interested in that. Why would Amanda be interested in studying Enchantress and her brother? And she was not even worried for her own safety. Why was she interested in having Task Force X recon her, though she didn't need to leave ground zero? She was perfectly safe on her own. The reason is she tested out Task Force X, and with this mishap she saw opportunity, and so she started to study Enchantress and her brother, because she sees herself having further use for them. Now here's the other kicker. And this one's really going to get everybody. And this is why I tell you, master villains have multiple plans. Amanda Waller, first of all, she wipes out everybody who was there as she was reconning our information. Once all the information was gathered together, everybody was shot. She shot them herself. Okay, showing again that she's villainous. She's not someone who has moral, ethical values. She does whatever, whenever the ends justify the means with Amanda Waller. And she will succeed at what she's doing. Now, here is the other thing that shows her villainy. Not only does she want Harley Quinn executed by Deadshot, because no one escapes Amanda Waller, but the other thing that made Amanda Waller very dangerous was the fact that Amanda Waller has a purpose for Enchantress and a purpose for Task Force X. And she was very interested in all of the members of Task Force X surviving as much as possible. When Snipmunk escaped and Colonel Rick Flag had to blow his head off, Amanda Waller was very, very disappointed, because she actually wants these villains together. And believe it or not, she also wants Enchantress, because she sees Enchantress as the ace of spades. But like I said before, Amanda Waller depends on weakness. She looks for weakness to exploit. So she gets captured by Enchantress. Enchantress uses Amanda Waller to find the locations of all the defense installations in the world and starts to destroy them. Now Task Force X comes through, destroys Enchantress, or at least seemingly seems so. And it also seemingly seems to have destroyed Incubus, blew him up. If you do remember, Enchantress and Incubus are basically spirits, right? So I don't know if Enchantress is dead or not. Well, I don't know if Incubus is dead or not. I know Enchantress is alive because she gives Bruce Wayne that folder which shows Enchantress on the first page. So these are the existing metahumans that are around. So obviously Enchantress is somewhere around. I believe Amanda Waller knew this is to be so, and I think she has more information than Enchantress. And I will not be surprised Enchantress appears in some form with someone in the future, and Amanda Waller is looking to leverage her. Remember, Amanda Waller looks for leverage, and we see that Amanda Waller, once you serve your purpose under her and you're not useful to her, she will dispose of you. Now, she was able to test out Task Force X, and then, through the brilliance of Colonel Rick Flag becoming bonded to Task Force X, she's able to get Task Force X to save her life yet again, even though Task Force X is not even aware they're saving her life. They're going in there because Deadshot is going in there to help Rick Flag have a chance against Enchantress to get to save June Moon. That's the whole point behind the whole thing. That's why everybody went in there, even though Amanda Waller's there. Amanda Waller survives. Okay, everything. Everyone goes back to prison. Amanda Waller is trying to cover her butt because she did something separate. If Washington only knows she had different orders and different things she was doing. Remember, she's doing this unbeknownst to Washington. He doesn't want them probing into her affairs. She knows what she's doing. She's testing out Task Force X. She's going to use Task Force X in the future. And she's got certain elements. She's seen what Enchantress could do. She's seen what Task Force X could do along with Rick Flag and his men. And so she has this, as we say, she has an ace in her deck. She has this secret weapon there. More than likely, she's going to be looking into Enchantress. If Batman can find Enchantress, that would be great. Alright, she's given this whole meta-human file. You see Enchantress, you see the Flash, you see Aquaman. Amanda Waller knows Enchantress is not dead. And probably Enchantress has been dead before. But, at least in a human body, but her spirit gets gathered back up and she gets infused into someone else. Amanda Waller said something which told me she's been here a long, long time and she'll be here long after we're long gone. So it tells me that Enchantress is going to come back in some form or some shape or form in the future. I don't know if her brother will be back. I assume so, because they're both spirits. So I think Amanda Waller, by sharing with Bruce Wayne certain things to leverage again so that she could get protection, can continue along with the Suicide Squad. Now, Bruce Wayne, he's threatening her that he will close down the Suicide Squad because Amanda Waller knows he's Batman, and she says that. And Bruce Wayne goes on to say, me and my friends will shut it down. So Amanda Waller knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. And this is, again, she knows a lot of things. She has a lot of information. She's kind of a female Lex Luthor of government. She's in government. Lex Luthor wasn't in government. She's in government. And out of national interest, she is patriotic. Don't get me wrong. She's patriotic. But just like how Washington can be corrupt and people try to protect their butts, she is corrupt. And she is a villain. Right? You won't think of her as a villain because in many respects there are admirable things about Amanda Waller. She believes in honor. She believes if she gave her word, she'll use it, right? But she believes in intimidation. She believes in ruthlessness. She's cutthroat. And she has motives, personal motives, for her personal agenda. And her personal agenda is always to run this program, this particular program that she wants to see succeed. And she will do whatever it takes to see that program succeed. She doesn't mind killing people. She doesn't mind people dying to cover up things. Okay? And that's the kind of villain Amanda Waller is. She is a villain. Now, she has a lot of admirable qualities. So she said thank you to the group. She said, what are your extra demands that you would like to have? Because she wants to keep them happy, because she wants this squad to work for her. Okay? Now, one of the members of the squad was broken out by the Joker. Joker been doing his research as well. He went in to find out the guy who guarded the place, made him make a deal with him. He found out the place where they were putting in the things to control them, the nanobombs. And he was able to follow that trail by giving Harley a phone. He was able to track where they were going and find them, right? And he knew that these people were stored in the prison. You heard his conversation with the other guy, his right-hand man, Mr. Frost. So he was able to locate where this prison was in the Louisiana swamps and break in, again, courtesy of the head guy, Mr. Griggs, the head of security for that place. And he's able to rescue Harley. Now, Harley is gone again. She's gone rogue. This is typical of the Suicide Squad. If you guys have ever read any Suicide Squad comics, the Riddler went rogue, Killer Frost went rogue, Deadshot went rogue. Okay, it was very messy in Assault on Arkham, Batman Assault on Arkham. So certain people went rogue, right? But that doesn't mean the Suicide Squad is not in operation. Now, in that particular story, Assault on Arkham, Amanda Waller was very sloppy in that one, okay? But the point is, in this one, Amanda Waller is still able to reel in most of these bad guys. This is a whole new concept. And you have to be ruthless. You have to be able to have a certain degree of honor as well behind you to get these group of villains together to run them. But here's the important thing you guys may be missing, and this is why I said she's kind of a villain. A lot of people know also that Amanda Waller is probably the person behind why these criminals end up back out on the streets, because they get so much reduced time. They do all these things for the national interests, and then they end up back out on the streets committing crime, courtesy of Amanda Waller. So she kind of fills in that gap that may be missing. And now you know the Suicide Squad being part of this universe, it makes sense that Amanda Waller has this rotating door for all of these agents. And I'm not going to be surprised if Deadshot, he either ends up back out on the streets soon enough, or he's being used by Amanda Waller in the Suicide Squad. We'll see what happens. But obviously, Amanda Waller's at loggerheads with Bruce Wayne. It's always been that way, even though they do talk, and they do be on talking terms. If you've ever watched Justice League Unlimited, Amanda Waller's conversation with Bruce Wayne concerning national interest and aliens and metahumans, and her needing to have protection for the metahumans, the America. This is her argument, and this is her argument pitched also in this movie. So, yes, Amanda Waller is a mastermind. She's thinking about the squad. She's thinking about how it performed. She's thinking about how it's gelled it together and worked, that her plan and her thoughts about it were correct. She's also thinking about the potential of Enchantress and her brother, and how she can gather back Enchantress and her brother. And hopefully Batman can help her locate Enchantress, or locate those pieces at the crime scene, at the place where they were able to do the damage to Enchantress. I'm sure Amanda Waller is doing her stuff to figure out how to get back Enchantress, and also to get her brother as well, so she can use them for national interest. I'm sure she's thinking about that. So I just wanted to give you guys the little backup plan that Amanda Waller's been working on, and why it is that she was doing what she was doing. And that will help you to understand, oh wow, she's really masterminding this thing, and she's rolling with some of the punches. And that's the brilliance of Amanda Waller. And that's why she's a major villain in this movie. And she survives to the very end. Enchantress does not survive, at least in June Moon, to the very end. Neither does Incubus. But I can guarantee you, because they need bodies, right, to exist in. But I can guarantee you, Amanda Waller, she made it to the end just like Lex Luthor. And remember, Lex Luthor is in Arkham Asylum. So, and I'm pretty sure Lex Luthor has had dealings with Amanda Waller. I wouldn't be surprised if Amanda Waller somehow, some way, that reveals to Lex that somebody was snooping around. And I wouldn't be surprised if Amanda Waller or somebody associated with Amanda Waller was able to tell Lex about Lois Lane's investigation of what was going on. That's probably how Lex knew. But I can't fully tell you, because Amanda Waller, again, she has similar ideals to Lex Luthor. She has similar ideals to what Batman had before he almost killed Superman. So, again, this makes sense. There's this sort of anti-metahuman, this trying to prevent a disaster, which makes a lot of sense in this world. All right, you guys. You have a great one.